So does hell really exist to you as we traditionally think about the picture that hell has been painted, especially in the Bible and other religions, where that it's this ferocious place filled with fire that the damned go to? Or do you believe that it might be an outdated view of what is considered to be hell? I am David Essel. Well, I was reading an amazing book, Love Wins, by a Christian pastor, Rob Bell. Highlights the incredible controversy here in regards to whatever way you might believe hell exists, if it exists at all. He, as a matter of fact, was introduced to me a number of years ago by a former client. She brought in one day a couple of his DVDs, and I said, wow, this guy rocks. He just has great energy, makes a lot of sense with his sermons. I really like his work. And as a Christian pastor, he went out on a limb with this book, Love Wins, and says that, in essence, that if there is such a thing as a loving God, which he believes that all there is a loving God, is that hell really can't exist, and heaven really can't exist just for a few of the righteous ones that have the chance to get in. And it made me sit and think. You know, a number of years ago, I was a pastor of an all-faith church, and as an all-faith minister, one of the things that I've done for years and years now is look for opportunities to interview people from all walks of faith, all different faiths, in regards to their perception of hell. I remember talking to a Buddhist Lama once, and I asked him what he thought about hell, and he looked at me and he said, as you so believe. And that was it. We had a great conversation and talked a lot about a lot of other things, but I said, that's all he said. He goes, you know, that's the only opinion I really have about hell. And I had a laugh, you know, it was pretty awesome. Thinking that, you know, he just said it's totally created by you and your mind, if that's what you believe. A lot of people, I remember, you know, years before that, talking to a priest. And I've had a chance to speak to a lot of groups with nuns and priests, and I grew up in the Christian faith and was raised Christian. And then as the years went on, I started to evolve into thinking that let me really start to study some of these other paths so that I can help more people. I mean, it's helped me immensely in my spiritual work, being able to coach Jews and Buddhists and Hindus and Christians alike, because it was a path that I ended up following. And I remember a priest once, when I talked to him about heaven and hell, he said, you know, David, if we take the Bible literally, as many people do, he said, there's no question. If you don't follow certain rules, if you don't follow certain guidelines, if you're not a Christian, you're definitely going to hell if you're not a Christian. And he said, however, think about this. When we say that you must fear God, he said for the longest period of time, people thought, you know, we must be afraid of God. But he said, as a Catholic priest, I have to tell you, it doesn't mean that at all. What it means is we must respect and worship God. Like, not fear him like, oh no, God's going to punish me if I do this. He said, but more like, let me worship and respect God. And if I worship and respect God, I'll do the things that are godly. Interesting take, isn't it? I spoke to a rabbi about this whole thing, and he said, you know, David, if there is a such thing as hell, and if we follow the Bible as it has been stated so clearly, he said, as a rabbi, he goes, I'm saying that means not one Jew's ever getting into heaven. Interesting, isn't it? So I wanted to bring this topic up to have you think outside of the box a little bit. I shared some different concepts from Buddhism and from a Buddhist monk and a Jewish rabbi and a Catholic priest, and now Rob Bell, a Christian minister, is saying he doesn't think there is such a thing, where that God would be so demanding and so punishing that he'd throw people into eternal damnation. Now, from my perspective, not that it matters, my perspective is I do totally believe in an all-loving God and an all-forgiving God. And so I really do question that whole concept of hell as I was raised, and wonder if that isn't stretching things a little bit, and also wonder that if at any moment whatsoever, could someone be brought into God's grace by simple asking for forgiveness, by apologizing? You know, I wonder that quite a bit. I'm not a fan of the concept of hell. I personally don't believe hell exists. But that doesn't mean that if you're sitting here watching as a Buddhist, as a Jew, as a Christian, as a Muslim, you may believe hell exists. And if it does, then it's real for you. My perspective is an all-loving, all-forgiving God. And I think I'm going to stay with that. Even though I've interviewed all these different religious leaders, I'm going to stay with that for me and how it works for me. And I can go to bed at night sleeping perfectly well, knowing that that concept is one that I can accept. And today I wanted to offer that to you. If you get a chance, and if you want to be challenged a little bit if you're a Christian, read the Christian minister, Pastor Rob Bell's book, Love Wins. Even if you don't agree with it at the end, it might offer some perspective that isn't often offered in that world that could lead us into a place that's a little bit more loving for ourselves and loving for others. If I can help you in any way on your spiritual path, it's an absolute passion of mine. Contact me at talkdavid.com, talkdavid.com. Spread this message. You know, for people that are living in fear of God, absolute fear of God, I wonder if maybe they can start to look at it a little differently and take away that fear notion and instead just replace, as my Catholic priest friend said it, with respect and love. That might take a lot out of angst. A lot of angst out of our lives if you're walking the Christian path, which I totally salute. As a matter of fact, I salute all paths, and I think whatever it is that you do choose to walk, as long as you're making a great difference in this world, releasing judgment and supporting others in their path, we can all get along and love each other as well. Don't forget to sign up for our YouTube account right here under Super Slowdown, so every video we put out will go right to your own private account there. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.